Greetings from LA, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I would like to continue on with my reactions to the wonderful lists that have been provided to me over the past several months from the Patreon community. So I have a Patreon page, and since around the time it started, I've been inviting Patreon members to submit to me their favorite films. So I've been moving at a very slower than snail's pace for a number of reasons, a number of personal reasons. But slower than a snail's pace still means that the thing that is moving slower than a snail's pace will at some point reach its destination. So I'd like to take a page out of, say, that thing that is moving slower than a snail's pace and continue on with responding to these wonderful lists. And this is for people who are Patreon members. And maybe since the submission of the list, the person may have canceled their membership or whatever the situation may be. That's perfectly fine. I'm completely okay with that. I understand how these things go, so no worries about that at all, or no problem with that at all from my perspective. So, but as long as you submitted your list to me as a Patreon member, that's perfectly fine. So let me now go to what I received from Santi Zen. This was a while back, so I apologize, Santi Zen, for the lateness of my response. But you sent to me a link to your letterboxd account, and so you have a list of 4 films as of now, which I'm looking at with regard to your letterboxd account. So if I may just respond to the 4 films. So the 4 films that you have here are Blade Runner, A Brighter Summer Day, Retro from 2025, and one more which is called in English The Rocking Horsemen, 1992, which is really great. I'm glad to see that one. So, but in any event, thank you so much for this, Santi Zen. And yes, for also let me now respond in kind to this list. So I have to say up front that I haven't seen this one, which is called Retro, but I can comment on the great work here from Obayashi Nobuhiko, which is called in English The Rocking Horsemen, or it's known in Japanese, or the title in Japanese is Seishun Den Deke Deke Deke. So this is from, yes, 1992, from the great director Nobuhiko Obayashi. This is really great. I don't know if this is available. Is this available to watch outside of Japan? So I'm not sure about the release history outside of Japan. I know it is or was available, for instance, on a DVD in Japan. That's how I was able to see it. But I'm not sure about its availability outside of Japan. Maybe it is, I'm just not aware of it. But in any event, this is such a great film. 1960s Japan, sort of coming of age film. Music, band context, as you know. This is real, and it's sort of the country life, or maybe small town or life captured here in this very exquisite way. I'm very pleased that Obayashi, as a filmmaker, I think is getting a lot of attention more and more. Hausu was, of course, the big game changer in terms of the Obayashi journey discoveries outside of Japan. But Obayashi, as you and many others know, has a really grand output of cinema that's wide-ranging. And I think The Rocking Horsemen, Seishun Den Deke Deke Deke, I think is really a wonderful rocking choice. So I'm wonderfully impressed and pleased that you mentioned that as one of your favorite films listed here. And let me see, let me go to another one here, which is called, let me go to this one, A Brighter Summer Day. So, yes, I've spoken about A Brighter Summer Day a number of times on this channel. I've had the great fortune of being able to just discuss it. I've had the great fortune to be able to see it. As you know, for a while there, it was pretty unavailable, or close to unavailable. One could try to find it maybe in very, relatively speaking, poor copies. I would need to rely on, say, English language subtitled versions, and so those would be very, very difficult to watch. But it was a very legendary film prior to, for instance, its Criterion release or reemergence, shall we say. Through which I think a number of people like myself was able to not just discover it, but really become moved by it. So that's the sort of release history, and of course the film itself is a true epic, historical epic. Now, a number of years ago, on the YouTube channel, I tried to talk about A Brighter Summer Day. I think it was in a number of videos. Maybe it was a multi-video thing, and I I I I really spoke my heart out, as I recall, with that. Um, Now, I haven't necessarily gone back to sort of talk about the film again in any updated video or anything like that. So who knows? Maybe I don't think actually. I don't think my thoughts would change for the most part if I were to maybe reassess my thoughts about or feelings about the film A Brighter Summer Day. I hold, I still hold very strongly that this is a film where the personal and the historical are intertwined in such a condensed way. And this is true for Edward Yang's films, I think, overall, or each of them in their own specific way. But A Brighter Summer Day seems to have the very almost breadth of history at its back. And all the way from a sort of historical account of this kind of crime, or maybe series of crimes, all the way to a kind of historical account of geopolitical ramifications, and it's all intertwined in the personal, which is it's a big feat, a really big feat indeed. So I am. Oh, there's a truck outside. I apologize, but I am in awe of this film. I continue to be in awe of this film, of its raw power, its ingenuity, its ability to speak from the past, like ghosts from the past, and speak to people who may have a vested interest in this history and the culture and the people. I don't have a direct connection per se I've never been in Taiwan. I've never lived there, and I don't speak the language. So there are many of these intricacies and nuances that escape me. And I think I've tried to make a point of in those video discussions on YouTube, my own incapabilities, the lack of capability on my part to fully address a lot of the points that I think are really key to a full understanding of A Brighter Summer Day. So I'm unable to understand all of those points. Such as language differences, between North and South, the sort of the intricacies in terms of the very complex relations with mainland China, and other similar points that are brought up quite directly in the plot of the film A Brighter Summer Day. So, but I think it's a film that I think welcomes you. It certainly did me. And the Criterion Collection release, in particular, I thought was very inviting and quite full with a lot of depth and a lot of a lot of insight to make for, I think, a really great and enriching journey into the world of A Brighter Summer Day, which is, I mean, it's one of the key works of it's one of the key works of Taiwan cinema, and also the cinema of Edward Yang, and also I think cinema writ large, I would say. So great choice. I'm always thrilled when people mention A Brighter Summer Day. And this is yet another occasion of that. So thank you very much. And let's see, Santi Zen, you continue on here with Blade Runner. Blade Runner, you mentioned, which is a great choice. Great choice. You know, I haven't spoken a lot about Blade Runner on this channel, unfortunately, and then that's my own fault. Many faults on the channel, and one of them is the lack of a discussion on Blade Runner. I remember seeing Blade Runner on VHS tape, and it was very jarring for me as a kid in the 80s. Very, very jarring. I didn't quite know what to make of it. I was kind of captivated, but I was feeling like I didn't know where to go within the world, if you know what I mean. I didn't know how to maneuver myself as a viewer, as a very young viewer at the time. And I think growing older, or growing up and getting older and rewatching it, I feel like it's a film that I mean, showcases it feels very optimistic on the one hand, but it also feels very cynical. And I think that depends too on what version one watches of the film Blade Runner. I think you might appreciate you having listed it in your favorite films section of your letterboxd. But I think, yes, I mean, there are certain gradations of, say, optimism / cynicism based on what version that you watch of the film. But regardless, there is still this overall sense of maybe futility, perhaps. And I think it's an artistically well-rendered sense of futility. And or I don't mean that in a sense of things have no meaning. There is still meaning, however finite or however inscrutable it might be, which I really appreciate about that film. And also, what I appreciate about that film too is there is an interesting way that quote unquote heroism in a quote unquote mainstream science fiction film, heroism is portrayed. It's portrayed in, I think, a very experimental type of way, almost in a way that maybe defeats the purpose of the so-called conventional sense of heroism. If you look at the protagonist of the film, you can argue that the protagonist of the film really is a kind of in a helpless situation. He tries to maneuver himself through the space. That's his mission in the film. But every time he either makes things worse, arguably, or he is helpless to make any quote-unquote substantive changes. And indeed, all the things happen to him, which in fact is the very pattern, one can say, of a hard-boiled thriller book or film noir, which I think Blade Runner has been compared to quite accurately, I think. So it's, among other things, it's a sort of, I mean, it's a mind-blowing film. I think the effects hold so well today. And it has an ominous sense of doom. I look at it and I know, it's set in a world that, right, we're already in 2025. So maybe you look around, the world doesn't look quite like what we saw in some aspects of Blade Runner, but still it feels like a film that is in the future for me, which is a good thing. And also, there are aspects of it that still feel very much part of the vibe. Things that the films set in the future got right. Maybe it didn't get everything right, but it got, I think, a number of things right. So which it makes it very prescient from a certain vantage point. So I think it's a very, it's a great choice, a bold choice. And I would wonder what version you prefer, or maybe versions you prefer, or if you're like me, you might not necessarily have one preferred version or over the other. And that includes what's called the final cut of the film, the more recently released version. which is a kind of amalgam of many different versions of the past, kind of, with some extensions or enhancements. Some of which I kind of appreciate. Other times it takes me in a different direction, which is, I mean, it's neither good nor bad, I think, but it feels like a different kind of robust experience. But my guess, yeah, for me, it really depends on my mood. But I wonder what version you or versions you might prefer, or if you're like me, you need. It depends on what mood you're in to choose which version of Blade Runner you put into the player. But in any event, this is I think, a bold choice and a great choice, and it's one that it's one of the key works of 20th century cinema. Definitely, it's one of the key works of 20th century cinema, and it's a milestone film, as it should be, and it's a film that resonates very well. It's a film that one might say it's a sort of search for humanity in a world where maybe humanity is lacking. But one might say that the humanity might be found more plausibly in the actions and characters of the replicants rather than the other way around, which is its own kind of sense of contradiction, which I find also wonderfully fascinating and ripe for much discussion and much interpretation. So it's a great choice, Santi Zen. So thank you so much for this. And I think, if I'm looking now, those are the films that you have rated as your favorite films. These four again, three of which I have seen. So the fourth I have not. So, or I don't think I have. So, but in any event, I am very, very impressed with this. So, thank you very much, Santi Zen, and apologies for the lateness of my response and reaction. I hope you can forgive me. But anyway, thank you so much for this. Much appreciated, and it's very evident that you are a cinema lover to the max. So I wish you well, and I know that you will continue with your cinema loving journeys and explorations going forward. And who knows, maybe this favorite films list of yours will stay the same over the years, or maybe you might add to it, or it might change over time. Who knows? I'm not sure, but that's your choice to make. But if it holds true to what we have now, it's a fine list, absolutely fine list. Top marks. But in any event, Santi Zen, thank you so much, and warmest regards. And I hope this video reaction finds you well. And until the next video, my dear friends, stay strong, stay safe, and cheers. And thank you, Santi Zen, and to my friends at Patreon. Thank you, and cheers. See you soon.